around and try to get to any of these unanswered questions, okay? But I want to get through the arrival information, and then we can finish the Q&A. So, all right, so arriving in the US. So if you're a new student, you can enter the US up to 30 days before the program start date on your I-20 or DS 2019. So on the left, you see the I-20, it says F1, and you have program start and end dates. And then there's actually an earliest admission date that's listed on the I-20. That's the earliest date that you can enter the US. Please do not enter earlier than this date. If you do, you're violating your visa status, even if they let you in. So pay attention to that. DS 2019, it's not noted on your DS 2019, but you just need to calculate 30 days before the start of the DS 2019. If you're a student who transferred your I-20, you were already studying in the US and you transferred your I-20 and you transferred your CVIS ID to Berkeley, you're not subject to that 30-day limit. You're free to travel because you actually have a continuing record. We recommend entering at least 1 week before your classes begin. Generally, it's good to arrive early because it can take a while to get set up here, and you may have a lot of pre-arrival or orientation events going on, but we don't recommend entering a lot later than that because it can be hard getting started. And again, if you're going to enter after the start of classes, you really need to check with your academic department and you need to check with our office. So preparing for your arrival. All right, and hopefully my Canadian friends, you've come back now because we're talking about arrival, your I-20 DS 2019 arrival dates, and then preparing. So carry all your required documents with you, not in your checked bag. So don't put it in your suitcase, put it in the bag that you're carrying on the airplane with you. If possible, we recommend that you arrive during our office hours, Monday to Friday from 10 to 12 or 1 to 4. That way, if you have a problem during arrival, you can request that immigration calls our office. Now, I know that not every flight is coming in at that time. I would recommend that you come in through San Francisco. The San Francisco Port of Entry deals with lots of students. They're generally very understanding and they generally always contact our office if they have a problem. And we tend to find that students have good experiences going through San Francisco. So if that's your port of entry, I'd recommend it. Don't bring any restricted items. There's rules about travel with medication, with food, and with pets. So pay attention to the rules about that and make sure that you're following the guidelines on each of those things. Additionally, something we'll talk about after you're here and something I'm going to tell you before you get here. Medical and recreational marijuana is illegal under US federal law. Possession of that or use can result in deportation. So be aware of that, that even if something is legal back home, you shouldn't be crossing the border with controlled substances. Additionally, you don't want to be advertising that you are a user of federally illegal substances. We've definitely had students removed from the port of entry and sent back home because of evidence that they were either in possession of or were regular users of federally illegal substances. Be aware that Customs and Border Protection is allowed to inspect your electronic devices, and you can prepare your device for travel, but they are allowed to ask you for your cell phone or your laptop and to look at it. If you say no, technically it's a reason they can deny you entry. If you say yes, then they have access to your information, and you probably want to feel okay about what they're looking at. Required arrival documentation. So it's not common for devices to get inspected, but it might happen. But what you always need is your passport. It should be valid for at least 6 months into the future. And you should have a valid non-immigrant visa, F1 or J1, unless you're Canadian. If you're Canadian, there's no visa stamp in your passport. That's the only thing that's different.